internally, we're always measuring success based on what the goals of the campaign were and our initial discussions when you first came on board. So that's where we're going to start with our measurements internally. And that may very well be pieces of publicity, media hits that we are earning along the way. That may be social media or a combination of those things. It may also be marketing components of the campaign. Are we feeding in on the building of your website and platform building on social media for you? And are we helping you with that? So we'll take a look holistically across the campaign and have measurements for all of those things for your campaign based on what's most important to you. So measuring success really has everything to do with what's important to you and what your future goals are career-wise for your writing and what your expectations of the campaign are. Another question that this leads on from is what happens when the campaign isn't going the way that we hope? Let's say, for example, much like this year, as we go into a presidential election, and last year with two wars that were really severely impacting the news cycle and taking a lot of space in coverage, both in print, online, and in broadcast. What do we do when there's a situation that is impacting the campaign that's outside of our control? For us internally here at Page One, we're always thinking about a multitude of ways to get your book, your work, and you recognized. That's always the first and foremost for us. We don't want to run cookie cutter campaigns here. Every campaign is bespoke and different, and it's important to us to be creative for every campaign. That doesn't mean we don't pitch the New York Times book review for every book. We do, and that's of course very important and one of the traditional things that we would always do. But if we're in a situation where we can't get any radio because all of that airtime is being filled by what's happening between Israel and Hamas, then we're in a situation where we need to find alternative ways to bring attention to your work. Or if there's ways in which your work feeds into that news cycle and you are an expert in that subject area, we utilize the expert positioning work that we do to make sure that you're in front of the right producers and they have all of the information they need to make sure that you're one of the first people they call to be an expert for comment in that situation. But more often than not, the book doesn't apply to the news cycle, and we need to think of alternative ways to make sure that it's continuing to get the notice that we would like it to get. And that may mean doing a deeper dive into podcasts in the area. It may mean rethinking where the readership is for your book and being a little bit more strategic about smaller audience type media outlets that are getting right to the whole core of your readership and making sure that those places are looking at the book and making sure that they're paying attention, doing the Q&A with you or some other sorts of coverage, an excerpt from the book or other things. So just constantly thinking about what are the alternatives, and if we're not getting the results that we had hoped for, how can we pivot? How can we think differently? How can we bring your ideas in and expand upon them? How can we collaborate better with your publisher and think about what are they doing and how can we fill in any gaps that they don't have time to tackle? So we're always thinking and we're always brainstorming here. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a small group of people who are constantly reaching out about a multitude of different books. When we have someone who's on the line who's interested in, let's say, a novel, it's an opportunity to bring another book in and say, well, have you thought about this one too? And we have the opportunity to do that here in a way that I think is incredibly effective. So